for this wonderful Sunday Love Feast. So the Srimad Bhagavatam states that there is a specific quality of Harikatha when you hear it from sadhus. Right? It is said that Srimad Bhagavatam compares this material world to be like an ocean, and the waves of the ocean is like the three modes of material nature which is dragging us down. But when you hear Harikatha from a sadhu, the sadhu with his consciousness, he picks you up from that ocean and places you at the lotus feet of Krishna. So I would like to welcome Maharaj. And speaking about Maharaj, these are the small opportunities that we get to glorify a sadhu. That's why I'm taking some moment. You can see Maharaj has many wonderful qualities, but the best amongst them, which I personally like the most, is his Prabhupada Anugatya. He is always fixed at the lotus feet of Prabhupada. He would never deviate from the lotus feet of Prabhupada. And his most precise emphasis is book distribution. At every moment, I have observed this in Maharaj, that at every moment he is conscious of how can I deliver a soul by giving them Prabhupada. And his mission, we can clearly see from all his acharan. He is an acharya. Right? With all his acharan, he is telling us that please take Prabhupada's books and make your life successful. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Thank you.
Also, a small announcement for the kids. Anukampa Mataji is taking class, so you can send your class.
What did he say about a Mataji? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Golly, come on.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
Hare Krishna.
We'll try once more. Listen for the cue. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, that's better. I suggest you move all the seats up.
Move.
Nothing happens.
Move.
Nobody moves.
Move.
No, Mataji, move this up.
YouTube live? It's actually recording. No live? We are recording and uploading it later.
What's that?
There is no live. They will record and upload it later.
What?
Upload it later, the video. It's not live video. This.
I don't understand.
They have a video recording. You see this mobile phone? It's recording.
Okay, uh-huh.
But it's not online. It's not live.
Oh. Okay, but ours is live, right?
Ours is live.
Hare Krishna, thank you. That's okay. What does this say?
Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur.
You
Written
sure?
by Bhakti Vikash Maharaj. Right.
You sure that's what it is?
Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhava, I think.
Is that what it says?
What it says here?
Okay. And it's written by Bhakti Vikash Swami?
Bhakti Vikash Swami. Bhakti Vikas
You sure?
Swami. Yes. I can read a little bit.
Okay. Wow, that's really nice. Compact form. Where's Krishnananda Prabhu?
He is in Mayapur.
Oh.
So this one person is in charge. This one.
Which one?
Yeah, here.
Okay. Prabhu, do we have more of these?
We got the books, that's why I kept it. We got this book, yeah. 8, 9 books are there. 8, 9 books.
So we have many of these?
150.
150.
150 books.
Okay, good.
There is 9 books are there.
We have sets of books to sell? I don't see any sets.
I have Srimad Bhagavatam set.
Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada, Lilamrita. They're in Calcutta, right? Yeah, you'll bring. The thing is, Prabhu, in the future, you should bring them before the program starts. What's your name?
Supta Vigrahadas.
Huh?
Supta Vigrahadas.
Supta Vigrahadas. Okay, Hare Krishna.
So Nikila Prabhu is translating.
He's translating? Nikila Prabhu, you understand this is going to be simultaneous translating? Udachi. You didn't find my cartels? Really? Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Praja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Praja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvajakacharya Storta Satashi Shimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavindi Ki Jai ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Vemseko Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasudeva Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Shyamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai ISKCON Mayapur Ki Jai ISKCON Mira Road Ki Jai Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pasaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pasayadestarani. Hello, excuse me. There's an ancient scripture. Do you understand English?
English, huh?
No, that means no. Okay. Well, wait. Somebody translate. Can somebody translate, please?
इंग्लिश आता है आपको?
There's an ancient scripture that's very rare. You translating or what?
Yes.
Well, you're not translating. I'm saying something and you're not translating.
ये बहुत कम होता है.
Not many people know about it.
बहुत सारे लोग इसके बारे में नहीं जानते.
It's called the Common Sense Common Sense Purana.
इसको बोलते हैं सामान्य बुद्धि.
It's the 19th Purana.
ये 19वीं शताब्दी की पुराण है.
And according to the Common Sense Purana, if you're going to bring a box of books, you don't put it in such a place that it ruins the decorations.
मतलब जब हम व्यक्तिगत बुद्धि ये बताती कि जब हम कुछ लाते हैं उसको व्यवस्थित तरीके से रखना चाहिए.
So please put the box back here. Okay?
वो बॉक्स को आप जरा पीछे रख दीजिए.
Fantastic. Now you just made a lot of spiritual advancement.
आपने बहुत कुछ सीख लिया अभी बहुत जल्दी.
Okay, what's next?
Umagyana
Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militandena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desired trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Now usually we chant that invocation before we read from Bhagavatam or some other scripture. However, I'm not going to be reading from a scripture. I'm going to be talking about Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. However, Srila Prabhupada notes in the Bhagavatam that there's no difference between the book Bhagavat and the person Bhagavat. Because the person Bhagavat is living the kind of life that is described in the book Bhagavat. So in that way there's no difference. So today is, well, not today, it was 2 days ago, was the appearance anniversary of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada. But we're celebrating it today and speaking about it today. Mainly I'll read a few things that Srila Prabhupada said about his spiritual master. You have some things there I sent you?
Yeah.
What's up? Srila Prabhupada often commented that he didn't have much face-to-face association with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. However, he did take his Guru Maharaj's instructions very seriously. One of the things that to me is most significant about Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and his life is the intimacy of the relationship between him and his disciple, our own Srila Prabhupada. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was also called Srila Prabhupada when he was on the planet. And therefore, when disciples of our Srila Prabhupada started calling him Srila Prabhupada, some of his godbrothers were really upset. They felt that he was usurping his spiritual master's role or his spiritual master's prestige. But it came about kind of accidentally, because in the beginning, for the first 2 years of ISKCON, devotees were calling Srila Prabhupada Swamiji. Then one time in Boston in 1968, there was a couple that was serving Srila Prabhupada, Gursundar Das and Govinda Dasi. And Gursundar Prabhu asked Srila Prabhupada if he can call his wife Govindaji. And Srila Prabhupada said, no, this G is a third-class show of respect. Here in India, it's very common. I often get called Prabhuji or Maharajji or something. But Prabhupada said it's third class. And so Govinda Dasi asked them, why do we call you Swamiji? And she said, what should we be calling you? And he said, well, different things, Vishnupad, Prabhupada. And so Govinda Dasi, who was was and is very attached to Srila Prabhupada, said, well, what would be best? And Prabhupada said, well, Prabhupada is nice. So the thing is that some of his godbrothers were disturbed by that and envious of him for it. But we have to keep in mind what Prabhupada means. It means the master at whose feet all other masters sit. So there's no question that Srila Prabhupada was doing more to spread Krishna consciousness than all of his godbrothers put together. So therefore he had become the most prominent among his godbrothers. Some were just not willing to admit it. Of course, probably you all have heard the story about when Srila Prabhupada first contacted Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Right from birth, Srila Prabhupada said his father was a pure devotee. His own father was a pure devotee, Gaur Mohan De. And he said that from his very childhood, he was absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Once in New York, a reporter who had a very strange way of talking, funny way of talking. Where does this not stay? I don't think I can imitate his way of talking, but I'll try. He said, Swamiji, at what age did you realize the truth of Krishna? I guess trying to sound very important or something. And Prabhupada said, I can deliver to you also. Now that doesn't seem to answer the question. Prabhupada often did things like that. He would answer in a way that didn't seem to answer the question. But obviously what he meant was that, what does it matter? This process will help you too. You know, the reporters, they're just making notes and just trying to make money, to have a job. But his point was, this is important for you too. Don't just ask these stupid questions that have no relevance. He didn't say that though. He said, I can deliver to you also. So the reporter said, well, I'm sure you can, Swamiji, I have no doubt of that, but still, I would just like to know, I'm just curious to know, I'm sure our readers would like to know, at what age did you yourself realize the truth of Krishna? And Prabhupada again said, I can deliver to you also. So this went on 2 or 3 times. And then finally, of course, there were a lot of disciples there too, present. And so then finally Prabhupada said, oh, 5 years old. And all the devotees yelled, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada often commented that his whole life, because his father was a pure devotee, his whole life was Krishna conscious, right from the beginning. And he talked about also how he organized the Rath Yatra festival with the neighborhood children. But then he said, later on, especially when he went to college, he said, maybe I got contaminated by bad association or something. He said, because my spiritual activity slackened. And he got involved in the Congress Party. And he said he became an avid follower of Gandhi. And then at one point, his friend Narendranath Malik invited Abhay Charan Day to go with him to visit a sadhu who was speaking at some particular place. And Abhay Charan De was not very enthusiastic about it because his father was always welcoming sannyasis and sadhus into his house and feeding them. And Srila Prabhupada said he wasn't very impressed with these people. So he thought, why should I go to this place and see this person? But he did anyway. And then, as I recall, he said, practically as soon as he and Narendranath Malik sat up from paying obeisances, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, you should preach this message in the Western world. There was no introductions yet or anything. He just paid obeisances, sat up, boom. There's the instruction for his life. And so Srila Prabhupada argued. He said, what's the point? He said, who will listen to us? Can we make this stay up somehow?
You want it up?
I just want it to stay there. I don't want it to keep falling down.
Yeah, it's not possible. Just do not touch it. Or keep it like this.
Okay. He said, because at that time, so this was 1922, at that time, India was a colony of Great Britain. And he said, who will listen to us? We're an occupied country. Nobody's going to listen to us. So he was presenting some argument, a typical Gandhi type of argument. And I don't know what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said. There is somewhere where it's explained what he said, but I don't remember. But he was convincing to Abhay Chirande. And so when they left, Narendranath Malik asked him, well, so what do you think? And Abhay Chirande said, I think that Lord Chaitanya's movement is in very good hands. He said, practically speaking, that was my initiation. He said it wasn't formal initiation, but it was at that point that I accepted Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur into my heart as my Guru Maharaj. But then he said, he got distracted by, he was a young householder, he had a wife and children, and he thought, I have these responsibilities. One time he said, I was so foolish. He said, I should have surrendered immediately. He said, but Maya is there. Anyhow, later, well, he really liked the Gaudiya Math members, especially the sannyasis, and he really wanted to help them. He liked their association, and he wanted to be with them and help them. And he had at one point, he had a pharmacy in Allahabad called Prayag Pharmacy. And his idea was to become wealthy, to make a lot of money in the pharmacy, and then to give the money to the Gaudiya Math sannyasis. Because he saw that they were begging from door to door and just getting a few paisa or a few rupees maybe. And so he wanted to help. And whenever anyone from the Gaudiya Math was visiting Allahabad, devotees would tell him, go visit Abhay Babu, he'll help you. So that was how Prabhupada saw his role, was to be a businessman, make money, help the sannyasis. But he said the thing is that when a person is sincerely desiring to serve Krishna, to surrender to Krishna, but is also distracted or entangled by material things, He said, when one's desire is strong enough, then Krishna takes away all the material impediments, which is probably one of the reasons why a lot of people don't want to surrender to Krishna, because they're attached to all their material things. They don't want to lose it, and they're afraid if Krishna starts liking me too much, he's going to take everything away. My whole material life will be ruined. He quotes that verse. What is it? Harishe tat dadan sharai. How's it go? I can't remember how it starts out. But the verse says that exactly that when Krishna, Hari means take away, the one who takes away. So Harishe tat dadan sharai, when Krishna especially favors someone, he takes away all his material facility. So Srila Prabhupada said, therefore by Krishna's grace, my business failed, my marriage failed. So clearing the path for me to surrender to Krishna. Then he was talking about how Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he saw him in a dream. This happened 2 or 3 times. Now to me this is significant, because although Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had left his body, but this relationship was so strong, so deep, that still Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was appearing in Srila Prabhupada's dreams. And he was motioning him like this, come here. And Srila Prabhupada said he was horrified, because he knew what it meant. He meant that you should take sannyas. And he thought, no, how can I take sannyas? I have responsibilities. So this happened a few times. At one point in the 1930s, some of the senior disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur went to him and said, you know, this Abhay Babu, he's very good. I had the opportunity to in I guess it was in 1988 in New York, to share a room with a Gaudiya Mat sannyasi named Mangal Maharaj. Mangal Maharaj, if you read Srila Prabhupada's letters, you'll see that there was one brahmachari in the late 60s, like 66, 67, who was writing to Srila Prabhupada, wanting to join him. His name was Mangal Niloy Brahmachari. And Srila Prabhupada was encouraging him. But Mangal Niloy Brahmachari was initiated by one of Prabhupada's envious godbrothers. And so his spiritual master wouldn't allow him to come. He didn't go at that time. That was in the late 60s. So then some years later, his spiritual master left his body, and Mangal Niloy Brahmachari took sannyas. So when I met him, he was about 60 years old, I guess, something like that. This was 1988. And so then he had the opportunity. So he was traveling around visiting ISKCON temples, especially in North America. So anyway, he said that he remembered Srila Prabhupada when Prabhupada was a grihasta. He said at the temple, he said he would always be sitting in the corner writing something. So these disciples, senior disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, went to their Guru Maharaj and they said, this Abhay Babu, he's very good. He should come and live in the temple. He could be the temple commander. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, no, that's okay, leave him where he is. In due course of time, he will act. He will do the correct thing. Phew-wee. I mean, what an intimate relationship. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had such vision. He understood what Prabhupada's future was going to be. He saw this young man is not ordinary. And yeah, that was in Bombay, Mumbai. And then, let's see what else happened. Yeah, there was this extraordinary relationship between the two of them. Even though years and years had passed, but still Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had this faith in his disciple. Srila Prabhupada said, I liked to hear. He said, I was good at hearing. Actually, his Guru Maharaj even commented that one time. This young man likes to hear. He said, because I like to hear, therefore, I'm good at preaching. Then, in early December 1936, Srila Prabhupada wrote to his Guru Maharaj and saying, look, you know, your sannyasi disciples and brahmachari disciples, they are all able to serve you directly, but I can't because I'm a householder. And that makes me a little sad. I want to know how I can serve you. And so Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur responded in a few days. And he gave him the same instruction. He said, you should preach this message in English in the Western world. He said, that will do good to them and it will do good to you. And Prabhupada said he took that very seriously. Also, there was another occasion when he was with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur at Radhakund, and apparently they had recently acquired a big temple in Bagh Bazaar in Calcutta, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati made it clear to Srila Prabhupada that he said, if you ever get money, print books. And he said, in Calcutta now, they have this opulent place, and I see they're just fighting over who's going to get which room. He said, I would rather sell the marble in that building and use the money to print books. So this thing about book distribution, it's not something that Srila Prabhupada invented or that I invented. Where's that devotee who made the speech? Huh?
Yeah.
You? Yeah, he said I'm always talking about book distribution. Yeah, because Srila Prabhupada was always talking about book distribution. And Srila Prabhupada was always talking about book distribution because Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was always talking about printing books. And Prabhupada has made the point that our line is a literary line. Like the 6 Goswamis, they were absorbed in writing books. And then others who came after them, like who was it, Srinivasacharya, distributed the books. So it's like, it's a long tradition. And there's a reason for it, because this is transcendental sound in written form. So around that time also, Srila Prabhupada said he read, well, he was studying the works of the Acharyas, always. To me it's amazing how Srila Prabhupada would, in his lectures or conversations, he would just suddenly quote something from some scripture that most of us never heard of and tell its meaning. And it seemed like Prabhupada had memorized like hundreds of scriptures. I mean, I'm sure he didn't memorize them all, but he memorized the most important parts. And he didn't have a Veda base. So it's amazing to me because, you know, without a Veda base, I'd be completely lost. Srila Prabhupada had no Veda base, but he just knew so much philosophy and so much scripture. So always quoting them like that. Anyway, what was the point I was making?
Book distribution.
Yeah. So anyhow, this Prabhupada took as his mission. He said at one point, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was publishing a small newsletter. It may have been just one page even. And he wanted his disciples to sell it. Not for much, for a few paisa. But Srila Prabhupada said whenever one of the brahmacharis or sannyasis would sell a few copies, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was so pleased. So Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada really got into this. I know what I was talking about. I was talking about acharyas, about the previous acharyas. We've all heard this the statement of how to understand the validity of something. We have to analyze it in terms of sadhu, shastra, and guru. Now, of course, we're surrounded by sadhus, but that's not what that sadhu refers to in that three-way test. It's not our contemporary sadhus. Srila Prabhupada used that sadhu in that context to refer to the previous acharyas. So, like, for all of you, the previous acharyas means all the acharyas who came before your initiating guru, which obviously includes Srila Prabhupada. But Srila Prabhupada is particularly prominent because he's the founder acharya of ISKCON. Anyhow, Prabhupada was always studying the writings of the previous acharyas. The six Goswamis, Prabodhananda Saraswati, Ramanujacharya, and especially Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Much of Srila Prabhupada's purports, he used to carry around in the 70s, he had this big book, the purports of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So he said, I think this happened sometime in the 30s, that he happened to read a purport that Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur had written to Bhagavad Gita 2:41. Yavasayatmaka Budhir, how's it go? Yavasayatmaka Budhir, Ekeha Kurunandana, Bahushaka Yanantascha Brutayo Vyavasayanam. So that verse doesn't say anything about the guru. Nothing. It says, how's it go? Those who are fixed on this path, those who are...
Resolute.
Huh?
Resolute.
Those who are fixed on this, those who follow this path are resolute in purpose, and their aim is one. Ekeha, their aim is one. But the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many-branched. Sometimes you may feel like that. You have so many things you have to think about and keep track of, and balance everything? Sometimes devotees ask, how do I balance my spiritual life and my material life? Well, if you're a Vaishnava, you shouldn't have any material life. Because even the so-called material things that you're doing should be for maintaining body and soul together, maintaining your family members, and to elevate you and your family to Krishna consciousness. Therefore, it's not material. It's become Krishnaized. But anyhow, so that verse, it says that one should be one-pointed. Ekeha Krunandana. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said that means that one should be one-pointed on the instructions of the Guru. The verse doesn't say anything about the Guru, but that's his realization. And Prabhupada said that had such a profound effect on him when he read that purport. He said that's one of the main things that propelled him to go to America to try to spread Krishna consciousness. And even before he went to America, he was publishing Back to Godhead magazine and trying to distribute it. So years and years after he got that instruction from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, more than 40 years later. But Prabhupada kept it in his heart. And when the time was right, he did it. And he often would say things like, people sometimes say that I have done something wonderful. He said, but I haven't done anything wonderful. He said, my spiritual master is doing it all. He said, all I've done is I just accepted his instruction and tried to do it, that's all. He made it seem like a very simple thing. And in one sense, it is a simple thing. You know, the spiritual master says, jump, and you ask, how high? That's it, right? Of course, that means you have to be really, really sure that you have the right spiritual master. That the spiritual master must be a transparent medium to his spiritual master and also to Krishna. Guru Krishna Prasade Poi Bhakti Lata Beach. Both have to be there. But Prabhupada said, by the grace of Krishna, one gets Guru. By the grace of Guru, one gets Krishna. So anyhow, this was the very clear instruction that Srila Prabhupada got from his Guru Maharaj. And he tried his best to fulfill it. And he said, he would say things like, that his spiritual, he would be talking to his disciples and he would say, actually, my spiritual master has sent all of you to help me, to please him. He was always absorbed in thinking about his spiritual master and trying to fulfill the mission that his spiritual master had given. There was one instance when one sannyasi was in, I think it was in Japan. This was American sannyasi in Japan, and he was by himself. And so Prabhupada heard about this and heard that, you know, he asked if somebody could join him because he's just by himself. He's all alone. So Prabhupada wrote back, what is this all alone? He said, I never felt alone. He said, because I always felt like my spiritual master was with me. So relationships are so important. When you think about the spiritual world, when you think about Krishna's pastimes in Krishna Loka, Goloka Vrindavan or Gokula Vrindavan, it's all about relationships. When you study Chaitanya, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's all about relationships. Relationships are so important. So, first of all, one should select a guru who very clearly is transparently transmitting the instructions of his Guru Maharaj and going back in disciplic succession all the way to Lord Brahma. And then one should execute those instructions to the best, in the best way he can at this particular time in his life. Now you may want to do some more. Like Prabhupada wanted to do more when he was a householder. May want to do more, but you're prevented by circumstances. Srila Prabhupada said, suppose you want to go on Sankirtan, but because of family obligations or something, you may not be able to go on Sankirtan. But he said, if you're desiring like that, he said you get just as much benefit as the person who physically goes out on Sankirtan. Now that doesn't mean you use it as an excuse that, oh, I got so many obstacles, I can't go on Sankirtan, I'm sorry. I have to stay at home and eat pakoras. But it is some, how do you say, it's a, what's the word? It's a concession. It's a concession. A devotee should not condemn himself because at his particular point in life he's not able to do everything that he wants to do. But he should keep that desire in his heart, keep the instruction in his heart, cultivate it. And then mystically, magically, in a way that he never would have imagined, Krishna will make some arrangement that he can actually fulfill this instruction from his spiritual master. So, yeah, that to me is one of the most inspiring things about Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is the intimacy of his relationship with our Srila Prabhupada. At one point, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur went to Mayapur and he made some vow, I can't remember what it was, to chant 10 million times the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, something like that. I can't remember, it was a huge number anyway. And he just lived in a little grass hut and he was just chanting all day long. He ate a little bit, just rice. In Bengal, that's no problem. And there was one businessman from Calcutta named Kunjabi Hari. And he saw this sadhu who was so determined. And he thought, this sadhu could be a very powerful leader. And we could build a big movement around him. And he saw himself as the manager of the movement. His idea was to manipulate Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to have this big movement, more or less so that he himself could take over eventually. I heard he even sent his son to London to study law because he knew it would end up in the courts. And so, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was obviously not foolish. He obviously had the vision to understand what this man's purpose was. But he accepted it. To me, it reminds me of when, in the story of the killing of Pralambasura, when this demon came in the guise of a cowherd boy with the purpose. Actually, he wanted to kidnap Krishna, but he thought Krishna is too powerful. Let me get Balaram. So And Krishna knew right away. Because there was, that day, as I recall, there was one of the cowherd boys was sick. He didn't come. And so this demon had made himself appear just like that cowherd boy. And immediately Krishna understood, this is a demon, just as a cowherd boy. So, but he welcomed him in. You know, yes, come and play with us. But he had a plan that ultimately ended in the death of this demon. So, obviously, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur must have understood the motives of this Kunja Bihari. But Kunja Bihari was trying to use Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. In the meantime, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was trying to use Kunja Bihari. And they did. They made a big movement, the Gaudiya Math. And Kunja Bihari, later Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave Kunja Bihari sannyas, and he became a big prominent person in the Gaudiya Math.
Keshav.
Huh?
Keshav?
No. And so that, in one sense, that's quite a risk to take, because obviously there were red flags. You know, something's not good here. Something's not going to happen good. But he was thinking about what will happen good. And so one of the results, one of the things that happened good was Srila Prabhupada. So taking that risk was well worth it. So anyway, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is such an exceptional, extraordinary sadhu. And Srila Prabhupada makes it very clear that it is only by the grace of his Guru Maharaj that he was and is able to accomplish so much. So any questions or realizations? If you could, I remember seeing a list of the rules for devotees living in the brahmacharya ashram, living in the mutt. And I don't remember all the rules, and I don't remember where it is, but if you would read those rules, you would faint, I think. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was so strict, just amazingly strict, but also amazingly merciful. Yes, somebody over here had a question. Yes.
You said that Guru should be transparent enough to take him to the earlier Gurus and ultimately to Brahma.
Wait, I can't. Somebody has to translate or something. Give her a microphone. Speak slowly, okay?
You said that...
Nothing's happening.
You said that...
It's not working.
You said that a Guru should be transparent.
I said what?
Guru should be transparent
Parent, yeah.
so that we can take the disciple.
So that we can what?
Take the devotee or the disciple to higher levels, to Brahma.
What she's asking is,
Through the whole disciplic succession, not just Lord Brahma, through the whole disciplic succession all the way to Krishna. Somebody else? Supta Vigraha Prabhu, do we have some raisins or something to distribute?
Keep prasadam, that's one.
Somebody else had a question?
Prabhupada got instructions before independence, as you said,
Who's
But
speaking?
why he took so
Oh.
long?
What's that?
Why he took so long to go to the West and preach? He got instruction from his guru very early, before independence. He went
So
there
why
in
did it take so long?
1967 or something.
I have no idea. But I'm fully confident that it was Krishna's arrangement. I'll tell you one thing, that the year that Prabhupada arrived in America, that was the mid-60s, 65, you couldn't have picked a better time to come to America with a message like Srila Prabhupada's. Because there was a whole generation of young people who were seeking the truth. They were doing all kinds of alternative lifestyles and everything. And there were a lot of so-called yogis and swamis coming from India at that time. Somehow or other they understood that these young Americans, most of whom had rich parents, they're very ripe for exploiting. And they came and they smiled a lot. That's what I remember. That was like a criterion among the hippies, was that, you know, that's how you tell who's a good person, who's a bad person. If the person smiles, he's very good. If he doesn't smile, he's probably a federal narcotics agent trying to put me in jail for drugs. So these swamis would come and they would smile. That was the main thing I remember. They would smile. And they would preach impersonalism because it sounds really good. You know, you're God, I'm God, we're all God. We just forgotten it, that's all, that we're God. But if we just meditate for 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening, and the rest of the day do whatever we want, we'll very quickly realize that we're God. More or less that kind of message. I was following that kind of thing, but I was failing at becoming God. So anyway, it was just an ideal time. And therefore, if you ask any of Prabhupada's disciples, they'll all say that it was just like, you couldn't have picked a better time to come and give Srila Prabhupada's message. It was just perfect. Because, let's say, even 10 years earlier, even 6 years earlier, in the late 50s, I don't think it would have taken effect as well. It just, the young people were not ripe, they weren't ready for it. But this was a perfect timing. Even so, Prabhupada struggled so much in the first year. Well, yeah, in the first year. Prabhupada went through so much difficulty. At one point he was recording, making recordings for Bhagavad Gita as it is. And he had a program every evening in this place that he was living in, Upper Manhattan. He invited people, like people he would meet at the supermarket, or people he would meet at the bookstore or something. But he said usually nobody came. Like, I recall hearing Prabhupada say, when I first joined ISKCON, that something like, even if you have to preach to the four walls, you should preach. And I thought, preach to the four walls, you know, why the four walls? Why do we have to preach to the four walls? But then, when I heard about Prabhupada's pastimes, I understood Prabhupada was speaking from experience. He had been preaching to the four walls. But he had the foresight to record. He would do bhajans in the evening, just by himself, and he would give a lecture, and he would record everything. And he was recording his Bhagavad Gita as it is. And then someone stole it all. Stole all the recordings and stole the recording device. So what did Prabhupada do? He just started again. did the same thing again. He was struggling so much, unbelievably struggling. But then Prabhupada said that there's a saying that Krishna has 10 hands and we have only 2. So the 10 hands are from the 10 different directions. North, south, east, west, northwest, southwest, southeast. What am I missing? Anyhow, you got the idea. Plus up and down, 10 directions. So when Krishna wants to take something away from you, you know, we're like this, no, no. I know I have to give it up eventually, but not today, okay? We're trying to hang on to everything, right? So how are we going to do that with 2 hands? And Krishna's got it from all directions. It's just going to take it away. We have to bear in mind that Krishna is a very greedy little boy. He wants everything. But when Krishna, with his 10 hands, wants to bestow something on you, you have a hard time dealing with it. So quite suddenly, in mid-66, after Prabhupada had been in America almost a year, just quite suddenly, just all this started happening. You know, devotees coming, and money coming, and recognition, and et cetera, et cetera. So we have to understand that Krishna does things in his own time. He arranges things in his own time. You have to have confidence in that. Once I heard that once a disciple said to Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, you know, you took 40 years preparing to come to America to preach Krishna consciousness. No, it wasn't Prabhupada then, it was Swamiji. Swamiji, you prepared for 40 years to come here to preach. But now, we've been with you a few weeks, and you're telling us to go out and defeat the scientists and impersonalists. So how is that possible? So Srila Prabhupada said, it is possible because I say so. We have to have faith that Krishna always knows what he's doing. Krishna doesn't make mistakes. He never makes any mistakes. Sometimes people get bewildered. You know, my child died. Why did my child die? What kind of God is it that would let the child die? There's some reason. We may not know the reason, but there's some reason. That's Vaishnava. To always have faith that Krishna always knows what he's doing. He's always doing whatever is the best for everyone. Okay? Okay, now where's the prasadam? Huh?
Yeah.
Huh? Oh, okay. So, not very much. Okay, now I have a little bit of prasadam to distribute. Should I close this or not? I can just move it out here.
As you wish. Okay. I'll make an announcement.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, 1 minute. Let's see. Just one important announcement. Okay, thank you. So in India there is a culture. All people practically, when Maharaj wants walk on the street, they ask mercy. They ask, please Guruji, I need some mercy. You know? And
They say, give me your blessings.
yeah, they want to take something. But actually, the spiritual culture is to give something. When you taking something, this is material. Even if you want to take something, some benedictions, usually it's material benedictions, like I want good education for my children, I want good health, No, the real thing when you give. And now we have a good opportunity, great opportunity, like, what's your name? Vishnu. Vishnu Prabhu wonderfully said.
Vishnu?
Vishnu.
Good name.
And today we have great opportunity to glorify Maharaja. He took it seriously, he glorified very nicely. Also we have now today great opportunity to serve, to give something to saintly person and have a great benefit. And what we can give, what we have actually. Our most, it's Kali Yuga, we don't have anything like, but we have some Lakshmi, right? We have some money. And we, now in Kali Yuga, the people love money the most. It's money like a honey, you know. So, but the thing is, the Lakshmi, this money, Lakshmi, it's very, very flinching, it's not stable. It's now it's in your pocket, next second in another pocket. And after death, you have no money. You came without money, you gone without money. But the art of a devotee is very intelligent person, the most intelligent person. Krishna se bhaja, Krishna, Vada se bhada chatur, I forget to say, the devotee of Krishna is the most intelligent person. The art of a devotee to engage what I have now, in that moment I have some Lakshmi, engage it in a proper way and to get eternal benefit. Because in any case, that money you will lose this money. Today, tomorrow, or something, it will lose. But if you engage this money in this moment for the spiritual purpose, it will be in your spiritual account. We all have material accounts. It's unstable, but spiritual account is eternal. So now you have opportunity to transfer money from your material account to spiritual account. Hare Krishna.
As Srila Prabhupada said that Krishna is keeping an account of everyone. Isn't that amazing? He keeps an account of everything that everybody does or doesn't do. All over the universe, all over all the universes. Please don't talk over there. He also said, when he was speaking with to Indian people in America, he said, the difference between me and you is that you have come here to take. Why do Indians go to America? To make money, right? Let's be honest. So Prabhupada said, you have come here to take, but I have come here to give. That's the difference. So anyhow, if you're inclined, if you want to spare some rupees, fine. We'll use it in Krishna's service. There was a popular yogi in the 60s who was famous for being very renounced. And he said that when someone would come and offer him money, he said, no, Mataji, please don't do this. When someone would come and offer him money, his hand would just like, by automatic reflex, it would just turn away. And people thought, oh wow, that's really humble, you know. And Prabhupada said, we're not like that. He said, you offer one of us money, he said, we'll take it and use it in Krishna's service and come back the next day for more. So anyway, and we have books here to sell. Now, I have a special plea for you. Because Srila Prabhupada said, preaching means book distribution. So if I come up here and give a lecture, but I'm not able to distribute any books, it makes me sad. And it makes me feel like I'm not fulfilling Srila Prabhupada's desire. So, usually my experience here in Mirror Road is devotees don't buy many books. Now, I've heard the argument, well, they already have all the books. I don't believe that. I don't believe you already have all the books. And even if you do, you got friends and relatives that you're giving gifts to on various occasions, graduation from the school, or weddings, or divorces. See, if you give gifts when there's a divorce, do people still get divorced here? Does it happen? Okay. If people are getting married, you give them a set of Bhagavatams. What could be a better gift for the rest of their life and generations afterwards? If they get divorced, you can give 2 sets of Bhagavatams. So we're encouraging divorces. No, I'm joking. Okay, so especially Bhagavatam is important. What's the cost of a Bhagavatam? Bhagavatam set?
He is telling because.
You have the list?
Yes.
Bhagavatam set in English?
Bhagavatam set in English, we have 8,800.
What?
8,800.
In English, Bhagavatam set is 8,800. Okay. In Hindi?
7,200.
7,200.
Marathi?
Marathi 6,600.
6,600 Marathi. You should all learn Marathi.
They know Marathi.
Really? Who knows Marathi? Raise your hand. Some, not many. Okay. In any case, it's not a huge amount of money. And it will last. Mataji, please don't talk. Why do you talk? The books will last a long time, for generations. You know, other things that you buy, they're not going to last. You buy a kurta, you buy a sari, how long does it last? A few years. It's just a waste of money. That's a waste of money. But to buy these books, this is an investment for you, for your family, for your friends. When you give gifts, give something of real value, okay? And if you buy these books here today, if you like, I'll sign your books. If you buy a full set of Bhagavatams, I'll sign every volume, okay?
Arriba!
And while you're up here buying your books, I'll distribute some prasadam. So everybody can come up here, one by one. I'll give you prasadam. And but listen, one thing about the prasadam. Don't pay obeisances, okay? It makes a traffic jam. We know you're humble, okay? And don't wait to be the last person to show everybody how humble you are. Rather, you should be the first person to come. Be enthusiastic to come and get prasadam, okay? And we need somebody to lead kirtan. Who can lead kirtan? There must be somebody in the Hare Krishna movement who can lead kirtan. It's not working?
This thing is supporting. Okay, working? Okay, you can use this one.
Krishna Jai
Okay.
Chaitanya
Cello.
Prabhu Nityananda
Nityananda.
Shri